Did you know that sometimes a spike detonating in Valorant actually saves lives? Crazy, right? I promise this isn't clickbait. It all has to do with the map Lotus and the multiverse nexus there. Hello, everyone. My name is Alumi, and welcome back to another episode in this Valorant Lore series. If you'd like to support this content, it would mean a lot if you drop a like and subscribe below. Comment your favorite agent, and let's dive in. Upon joining the Valorant Protocol, Harbor began working with Astra to better understand what the artifact he had obtained truly was. They discovered that this artifact is a relic connected to and potentially made by the Astral Guardians. Remember that the Astral Guardians are a group of entities with the role of protecting reality and spacetime from collapsing. As of right now, Astra is the only Astral Guardian we currently know of. Astra's gauntlet that she wears on her arm and hand is a relic made by the Guardians. After doing research on these two artifacts, they realized that the both of them together form a dual-layered key needed to enter an ancient city buried in the forest of India, the City of Flowers. Crazily enough, Harbor has been there. Well, he's been to the ruins of it. We're not exactly sure what happened, but the City of Flowers is completely destroyed on Alpha Earth. It's believed that the Scions of Hourglass probably destroyed this city. The Scions are an organization from the map Abyss that work to remove all history of Radianite and Radiance throughout the world. So why would this City of Flowers be potentially on their radar? Well, it's a city built by both humans and Astral Guardians together. In it was a large amount of Radianite that was used to power up the multiverse nexus. However, since the city is in ruins, we're back to square one. But wait, there's a Mirrorverse. Does that mean that Omega has a City of Flowers, and that's why the Valorant Legion on Omega recruited Harbor? Turns out, it was exactly that. Omega Earth's City of Flowers is still standing, and their multiverse nexus is still functional. However, this brings about some grave news. If Omega is planning to activate this multiverse nexus, catastrophe will be wrought on Alpha Earth. Harbor tells us this.
The City of Flowers on Omega is a multiverse nexus. If Legion powers up that nexus with Alpha's version of the city ruined, there's nothing left to absorb the shock. The result would be catastrophic. Millions of lives in my home country lost. That's not a scenario I'm willing to entertain. No one else can stop Legion from pulling the trigger. This is on us. So get a team ready and make sure I'm at the top of the list.
Since this city is in India and that's where Harbor is from, this threat of catastrophe weighs extremely heavy on him. So the Valorant Protocol prepares to send a team to Omega Earth's City of Flowers to stop this from happening. And that's how we end up on the map Lotus. The first hurdle is just getting to Lotus. The VP have just recently gotten the tech to travel to Omega Earth through portals already created on Omega. How are we going to get to a city deep in the forest where there's not a teleportal set up yet? Chamber brings the teleportation tech to the table to help solve this. We've all seen and been tilted by Chamber peeking wide with his op just to get a kill and TP out before he can be traded. But this new tech is how we're going to get a team to Lotus. Chamber made advancements to the teleportals by creating a teleportal beacon, which is essentially a portable teleportal terminal that can be put down anywhere. The only problem is that the team needs to get to Lotus first so that they can put the teleportal down to travel back and forth. So, Astra, Harbor, and Skye set out on a mission to get to Lotus and set up the teleportal terminal, all with the goal of being as sneaky as possible. At this point, the only terminal we can go through right now is the one on Pearl, which is in Portugal, which means this is their starting location. However, do you remember Atlas, the Omega interdimensional travel police that attacked our agents on Pearl? Well, they're at it again, as the trio make their way to India. Atlas begins to overwhelm them as they near the city, and Skye makes the heroic sacrifice to split from the group and cause a diversion so that Astra and Harbor can make their way to the city without as much threat. Just to show how cool Skye is, she took on 15 Atlas soldiers single-handedly, and only started to run again when they started sending helicopters to attack her. Anyway, Astra and Harbor make their way through the forest and find what they were looking for, the City of Flowers, the map Lotus. They use the combined forces of their artifacts, Astra's gauntlet, and Harbor's water bracelet as keys to unlock the doors to the city. As they do, Harbor's artifact causes an outburst of water that knocks the two back into a lake. Once they come to, they begin to swim back toward the door. However, this commotion has already alerted the Omega agents to their arrival. Going back in time a bit, we actually get some lore on the Omega agents and what they were doing as they sought out Lotus and the Nexus. We see Omega Fade at a nightclub in Istanbul using her nightmare radiance to seek out information about the City of Flowers, which of course she gets. Once they have this info, they send a team to Lotus consisting of Fade, Raze, Sage, Jet, and Killjoy. The fight begins as the 5 Omega agents go against Alpha Harbor and Astra. Once the pair find themselves in a somewhat safe spot, Astra tours the map using her astral form while Harbor covers her. Listen to what she says as she explores.
Grim, you copy?
Copy. Talk to me.
Incredible. And somehow familiar.
Astra?
Yes. Heading in. Hang tight. Grim, this place is far from dead. They can use it. I may have found a silent approach.
Good to know.
Out of my way. They worked together? Guardians and people. Oh, there's still so much I don't know. Another Radianite site. The amount of power held here is staggering. We have to stop them.
So, what does this mean? Well, the whole city is flowing with power from Radianite. The Lotus plants and vines all over the map have been infused with Radianite and thereby genetically mutated. The vines themselves act as conduits for Radianite energy to flow through these ruins. They also power the 2 rotating doors as well as the Nexus. This is done through something dubbed root circuitry, which allows the Radianite-infused plants to absorb large amounts of energy from the sun and then transfer that power and Radianite all over the map through the vines and roots. So basically, this map is bursting at the seams with power. This may be why Omega's Valorant Legion referred to Harbor as a power source. This is just speculation on my part, but Harbor's artifact and water abilities in and of themselves don't seem to be this source of power, but rather it being the key to unlock these ruins which hold a crazy amount of power. Again, just speculation there. Anyway, as Astra comes back after exploring in her astral form, they realize that Omega Astra has arrived. We see the sheer panic and fear on Alpha Astra's face as she realizes what this means. Omega Astra is using her gauntlet to activate the Nexus. We get to see Astra begin to activate it in this YouTube short. Once her gauntlet gets near the activation site, it glows and opens so she can put her gauntlet in almost like a literal key. The Nexus begins to activate and the center of B site begins to open up with some kind of energy or light pouring out rapidly. However, just as the Nexus begins to power up even more, we see the spike detonating nearby, and suddenly the Nexus is shut off. A huge crisis is averted. Since the Nexus is powered by the Radianite energy flowing through the vines all over Lotus, when the spike was detonated, all the Radianite in that area was sucked up into the spike's vacuum, which meant that the Nexus didn't have enough power to be active any longer. This means that the spike detonating actually saved millions of people from dying on Alpha Earth. Remember what Harbor said. If the Nexus on Omega had activated, there would have been nothing on Alpha to absorb the shock, so millions in the surrounding area of India would have perished. But how did this spike get planted? Weren't Alpha, Astra, and Harbor the only ones there? Once they realized Omega Astra was there, they wouldn't have had time to go over to a site, plant the spike before Astra activated the Nexus. We don't know for sure what happened, so I'll give you a few theories that are currently floating around. The most probable is that Skye had managed to rendezvous with them. At the time of Skye's split from them, she was 10 kilometers away from the city. It's possible that she managed to ditch the rest of the Atlas soldiers and made her way to Lotus and planted the spike. This is the most likely theory as of right now, but other theories include a rogue Legion agent planting the spike or even an Atlas soldier. For now, though, they are just theories. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!